Well, good morning, everyone. Don Cramer with the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty coming to you from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Wednesday. It is episode 70. Can you believe this? We are up to episode 70 of Coffee with Cramer and Colleen, and Colleen is not here to celebrate because of why? It's busy. It's time for, she's out doing real estate things. So she's meeting with some clients. We got a couple of listings we're preparing for, getting ready to go, and then I'm catching up with her today on a couple of items. So Colleen sends her best. She wishes she could be here for episode 70. She might be here for episode 75 here pretty quick, but we look forward to having Colleen back here very soon. But nonetheless, it is Wednesday. It is time for the weekly recap. Cheers to you out there today in the interwebs. If you're tuning in for the first time, do us a big favor. Hit the like button or comment below. Let us know you're here. Let us know what kind of morning beverage are you drinking. Are you drinking a little bit of Joe juice here? I've got a little Nespresso here as coffee number 2. If you're into tea, orange juice, water, whatever, this is what gets you going through the morning. Cheers to you. So let's go over the data from last week to this week, shall we? Just to sort of see where we're at on the Las Vegas housing market. So we'll start with the big slide here, which covers last week to this week. So this week we entered the week of 7/20 with 4,863 listings, single-family home listings in the Las Vegas Valley. Of those, 4,786 are traditional sales, 45 are short sales, and 32 are foreclosures. Now, basically, our listings are down a little over 1%, basically 1.5% overall, from last week's number of 4,936. Traditional sales down 1.2% from last week's number of 4,845. So again, total amount of available inventory for purchase in single-family residences in the Las Vegas Valley down week over week. Now, in the under contract segment, we're actually up a little over a percentage point. So this week we start off with 4,407 homes under contract versus last week's number of 4,351. Traditional sales were 4,243 this week versus 4,193 listings. And then short sales, 129 versus last week's number of 120. And foreclosures, 35 versus last week's number of 38. And I get this question now and again, Don, why are there so many short sales hanging out there? Well, it is because of the length of time it takes for a short sale to work its way through between negotiations with the bank, the buyer, and seller and such. So they just take a long time to flush through. So you'll see some in there for several months. So they sort of kind of back up. And so that's why we see a few percentage points of total under contracts or short sales. But in the meantime, when we look at total listings, short sales make up a little less than a percentage point, and foreclosures even a smaller amount of the total listings available. So again, we're not seeing any signs of our market changing with regards to foreclosures or short sales. And I think with a lot of the forbearance options out there, strong buyer demand, low amount of inventory, and people holding on to equity, that we're going to see how long that holds off, especially as we work nationally through the coronavirus and unemployment. So again, these are the competing forces that our housing market's dealing with. And we've been dealing with them for several weeks now. But the trend line is continuing to show that listings have been steadily going down from their peak. And then now the under contract numbers continue to steadily go up. And actually, it's interesting to note that this under contract amount is basically about where we are at the first week of March. So pre-closure, when we were in the heat of the heat of our housing market in early spring. So we were at that level of volume right in the middle of July. And that is a strong sign because normally in the middle of July, we kind of take a little bit of a breather because, people are on vacation, going out. Well, they're kind of not. And this is sort of playing into a theory several people had, and I had some belief in it. I felt like that this was a strong possibility that our spring housing market demand, which was basically impacted by COVID and the shutdown, was deferred into the summer, and we're seeing that play out right now. Now, other key items we love to track are back on markets. We're up to 193 this week. Price decreases 488, and median sold price still holding in strong there at 325. Now let's take a look and see what happened over the last week, just overall with how single family residences. So as you'll see, we actually had a nice bump up the last 7 days of new listings coming to market with 761. And then you can see the back on markets and price decreases, as we just mentioned. And then if you look at the under contracts, the show and no show, they're at 1,053. So again, if you look at 1,053 going into contract and new listing 761, we're about not quite 300 more. We're putting 300, almost 300 more homes into contract than we are onto the market. So again, that is still what's kind of pushing down our total inventory numbers. So, but it is nice to see actually seeing more listings coming up and adding to the marketplace of available homes for sale is a healthy sign. And then over the last 7 days, you can see sold 786. So we're actually selling a few more homes than we are actually, complete transactions than we are new listings. So again, strong, robust market right now. Again, we would like to probably have a few more listings from a variety to choose from. But as you can see, those, we're starting to tick up with regards to amount of new listings coming up to continue to feed the demand. And when you look at that, having options with strong buyer demand is a healthy housing market. And then let's look at things on a price point level here. So if we look at homes under 250,000, we have 445 active listings, and we have 603 under contract. So we have more under contract than we do have available for sale, and that number continues. Both go in the directions they've been trending in, which is because last week we had 479 active listings and we had 595 under contract. So again, we're dropping in inventory under the 250,000, and we're moving more into contract. The core market of which is the 250 to 500,000 really didn't have a big change week over week. We have 2,837 listings available this week versus last week's number of 2,838. However, we did add a little over 100 homes into contract. So this week we're at 3,055 under contract versus last week's number of 2,952. Again, that is our core housing market here in the Vegas Valley, and we're still seeing a strong demand in there. And again, we have more under contract than we do have active listings. Then if we go to the 500,000 to 750 market segment, we have 762 active listings, and we have 500 under contract. Again, we're dropping available inventory because last week's number we had 796 available for sale, and we had 482 under contract. So again, we put more into contract over the last week, and we've had a few less to choose from this week. Now, moving up to that mid-luxury segment, that $750,000 to $1 million range. Not a big change week over week there, as we have 294 homes this week available for sale from last week's number 293. And then we have 141 under contract versus 135 last week. So we did tick up a little more in demand there. Now, lastly, this is kind of the interesting one. It's the $1 million price point segment. Inventory didn't change much. We had 485 listings available this week versus 487. However, look at that number of under contracts of 131. Last week we had 110. So we put $21 million listings into contract over the last or over contract over the last 7 days. So that's pretty good. And if you continue to look at the trend line, even in the $1 million range with 485 versus 131, I mean, that's a little over, not quite 4 month supply. It's kind of more like about 3.5 month supply. And that is, we're seeing demand pick up in the $1 million plus price point. Now, that's a big, wide number. I mean, you're talking listings up to 25 million with, let's say, like Steve Wynn's home at the top of the price point over there on Billionaires Row in the Enclave. However, as you can see, I mean, the $1 million active listings represents, basically about 10% of our total inventory. But it is good to see that the activities for demand in the Las Vegas Valley are moving across all price points, from the entry level price point of 0 to 250 all the way up to $1 million plus. So that's this week's numbers in the Las Vegas housing market. If you have some questions about buying or selling, definitely we are fielding them. We had a lot of activity this last weekend, Colleen and I. We had several people we met with regards to considering listing their home. We've got a couple of them that are under preparations to get their home on the market, and there's a couple reasons why. They did not need the space that they needed. They are looking to downsize. So there's a great opportunity because the homes that they're in are, I wouldn't say ideal, but they tick off so many of the boxes of what people are looking for in this sort of COVID world. So we're talking additional bedrooms, additional spaces for additional office space, additional space for kid classrooms. I don't know if you've heard, Clark County School District looks like they're going to probably open with full-time stay-at-home schooling. But originally they were looking at the blend in school and out of school and remote learning. So again, as those play out, those have had a major impact on buyer demand. So you're coupling that with now interest rates for 30-year fixed under 3% in many cases. It's really changing up what we went into this year with, an understanding of what people are buying and the demand of what people are looking for right now. So that's this week's Las Vegas real estate news. We'll be back next week with some more, and then a couple of upcoming episodes of Coffee with Cramer. We're going to be going a little bit of Q&A, a little how-tos here. So do us a big favor, stay tuned. Hit the like button if you're enjoying this information, and let us know that you're here. And also comment below with any questions you have. Because on behalf of Colleen Schaefer and my name's Don Cramer. We make up the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty. We're more now than ever, your real estate experience matters. So again, give us a call, reach out to us, DM, email, visit the website, all that good stuff to help to give us any questions you've got, because we'd love to answer your questions on buying, selling, or investing in Las Vegas real estate. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.